Good morning, or good afternoon, my fellow Chibits. Today, I'm here to bring all of you the weekly manga chapter review of The Promised Neverland, chapter 16. Hopefully all of you are having a very good day today, because today has been kind of a good day, so hopefully everybody else is, sharing that fact as well. So, this chapter starts off with a color page. Now, the color page, instantly, thumbnail, just, you know it, but the coloring to the background of the color page, it's so dark. I love the artist of this manga, because the way the art is drawn, it's just something that really continues to capture me with this series. And I think I'm not the only one to state that, when you're reading the manga and you're reading panel by panel and you're seeing these scenes where the characters are talking with each other, and then all of a sudden you have these creepy faces pop up with some of these characters, like, Sister Crone and stuff like that, or you see someone like Ray and his face just changes and he looks all like evil or like crazy looking. I love how the artist is able to change the tones of the characters, and the art just looks so good. It's such a different type of art style I'm used to, and just the way the color pages are done, it really kind of takes the art that we already see in the manga to a whole new level. I mean, just seeing it colored, seeing the characters colored, seeing the way the backgrounds are done, I just cannot wait to see one day maybe a full colored chapter or so of The Promised Neverland, but, usually they do that for the final chapter, so hopefully I actually don't see that for a very long time. I do hope I don't see that for a very long time, unless it's a special occasion, because that would mean that the series either got canceled or it's done, and I hope The Promised Neverland does last for a pretty good long while. I mean, I don't know if this is a series that could last 100 chapters, but I do hope it does, because it's a pretty fun series to read on a weekly basis, and it's definitely something that stands out from, Weekly Shonen Jump, that new manga that's been popping up. So I'm glad it's made it to, chapter 16, and, it's still getting color pages. It seems like it's still getting support. So clearly there's still a lot of support for this series, and that's enough to make me very happy. So, the plot of this episode is about finding out where Isabel's room is. And it makes sense, because we know a couple of chapters back, we got to see this room when, Isabel, she was doing her news report, like, saying what she needed to do. She was coming in with her daily report, and now we finally have to where the children have figured out there is a room she's been going off and hiding at and doing her daily reports to the outside world, and with this, the children are trying to hunt down where it's at. But when everything is said and done, they realize that the room isn't relatively that important. I mean, even Ray, throughout the chapter, he tries to steer Gilda and Dawn in a different direction, because they are wanting to go inside there. It's like, it's not really that much of importance. I mean, if she does have a connection with the outside world, the only connection she probably has is with her bosses, or people are, abducting, the other children and turning them into meat, which, as we know, Gilda and Dawn, they don't know about that. Remember, they don't know what happened to the kids that are taken. They assume they're taken and they're just, held as hostages, or they're just sold to someone else, but they're not, dead. They don't know the truth about what happens to people when they're shipped off, but, only, Ray, Norman, and Emma know, and as you know, they lied to them, but that's kind of probably the reason why they were acting like they were at the end of the chapter, but still, Ray tried to steer the conversation like there's not much importance overall trying to break into that room, because number one, if we break into that room and we're caught, that fucks the entire plan, like GG to the escape plan. Number two, there's nothing really in that room that's relatively important. I mean, we might get some information on the outside world, but it's nothing really too important when you think about it, because usually stuff like this, she's most likely only has like a contact with the person that's her boss. She probably doesn't have any contact with anyone else, so you're not going to get any information from any other source to finding out where the children are. And I mean, if you really think about it, if you were to get on the phone and start to contact, Isabel's bosses, and you were to reveal that you're a child, what'd you do with, my friends or whatever, then obviously they're not going to say shit. They're not. They're probably going to send people over there, probably settle the matter, probably kill Isabel, probably kill all the children. That's probably what's going to happen if they try to make contact, and it's actually just a one-way conversation with, just one single individual that's on the other side, that's, Isabel's employer. So when you really think about it like this, what Dawn and Gilda did just costed everything that's been building up these multiple chapters. Like, all the stuff that Emma, Ray, and Norman have been doing for over these many days now, and also what Ray's been doing for 6 years, all of this build-up is about to be thrown away thanks to what Dawn and Gilda is doing. Now, I know many are going to be quick to yell at Dawn and Gilda, mainly Dawn, because of his actions and how he stole the key from Isabel to go into her, little secret room. I know many are going to yell at him, but personally, I don't want to yell at him for one main reason, and that is because if you think about it, he's acting in a way, the way he's reacting is because he believes that his family is still alive. He believes everybody that's disappeared is still alive. But remember, Ray, Norman, and Emma, they lied to him. They didn't tell him the truth. They haven't said the truth, and that's probably why he's acting like he is. If he actually knew the real reason and the real threat out there, if he knew everybody was dying when they got shipped off, most likely he wouldn't be that quick to act. Most likely he would, not, try to steal the key and, ruin all of the possible progress to getting out. He wouldn't do something like that. But thanks to them being lied to, he acted like that, and he was able to get the key, which, in a way, I guess that's a good thing to see what type of traits that Dawn has, because if you look at him being able to steal a key, that's very important once they get outside of the wall, if Dawn does manage to survive, because that ending part of the chapter, just death flag central, like, Dawn and Gilda, death flags, like, holy shit, the death flags right now. But the big thing here is that if Dawn somehow manages to live, there is a possibility that this man could be someone that could be like a thief outside of the wall. Like, I mean, imagine, they're going amongst the street and there's demons or whatever, or let's say there's some form of human civilization that's still around. Dawn could be that type of person that could go around getting information, break in and steal stuff. I mean, it seems like he's that type of character, judging by what he did to Isabel in this chapter, and McGill to be his lookout and helper as well if she survives too. So, I mean, I think this was kind of set to show what type of, usefulness they would have to the overall crew if they do manage to survive, but there is still a potential possibility they will die because of what Dawn did. Now, once again, I want to emphasize, I'm mad with Dawn, but at the same time, I'm not, because his actions reflect the poor decisions that Emma, Ray, and Norman decided to do. So if they would have told Dawn and Gilda right at the start, then most likely everything would have been changed. He wouldn't act like this, but there is a potential possibility if they would have told Dawn and Gilda could have been spies, or, most likely they could have been too terrified, and then you have it where Isabel would have keyed in on that they're terrified, and then they would have been shipped off rather early. So one of the things could have happened right there. So when you really think about it, I do blame Emma and, Norman and all them. But at the same time, if you think about the end of the day, they don't really know what choice was really the proper choice. I mean, it could have been a lot worse if they would have told them the truth. So, yeah, I mean, we were all just speculating right now. Let's talk about the books. So, we have a person that's kind of introduced or set up with this chapter. Now, this could be potential foreshadowing, which actually, yeah, it is foreshadowing and setup, but this is set up for maybe not 10 chapters from now, but possibly if the series is a long-running series, maybe 100 plus chapters down the road because of how long shonen normally could be. I mean, think about this, okay? In this chapter, it is revealed that amongst the books, there is a coded message. There's a message that this person, William, has made. All these books have him. It's been sent by him. They're his books. William's books that he sent to this place, this farm, and all the children can read. And the thing about this is that if you read these books, there is actually like some form of message to kind of let you know about how the outside world is. And that would mean that this man will kind of help them out. He's a potential ally to Emma, Norman, and Ray, and Gilda and Dawn if those two survive. And with this setup, we know he has a bigger role to play. He would not send books like this to kind of tell a secret coded message to the children if it wasn't something of grave importance. And this would mean that this character most likely will pop up later down the road of the series. If it's a short series, maybe 10 to 15 chapters, 20 chapters at max, he would pop up if the series lasts that long. But if it's a long-running series, I could see it being 50 to 100 plus chapters until this man's probably ever mentioned again. So we need to take note of this William guy, because most likely he's going to be a very key plot point of the series in the future, depending on how long this series goes. Once they remove their trackers, once they get rid of Isabel and Sister Crone, there's still the entire matter of leaving the wall and what is out there, what awaits them. And I've talked about this enough, so I'm not going to really get into that, but the big thing is that what is really out there? And that is something that we can all speculate about, but there is one thing we could draw from this chapter. And there is a lot of emphasis on a world map in this chapter, which I want everyone to take a note and realize, okay? We kind of already speculated that this was already on Earth, but you have to remember, sometimes when it comes to manga, anime, literature, movies, and stuff like that, a lot of shows or series, they usually take place in different worlds. I mean, they're not always set in, let's say, USA or Japan. They can be set on distant planets and stuff like that. That's like some of the main common settings of different shows or, comics or manga, is just being set in a different world. world. And so with a world map in the background of this chapter that was emphasized while they were talking about what awaits them outside the wall, we know at the very least at one point in time, Earth did exist. If, they're not on Earth. Let's just go on on a limb here and just say they were not on Earth. We know for a fact, at the very least, one point in time, there was an Earth, and they were on the planet, or these materials and stuff were on that planet because of the world map. So we know that this world is not set in a supernatural setting to where there was no Earth at all. So it seems like the overall, countries and the way the land was set seems to be very similar to how our world map is today. You see in the background towards the end of the chapter. So they're most likely on Earth, and if they're not on Earth, then they're on a different planet with a different type of ecosystem, and that's entirely different matter of discussion. So that's just something I want to pop up. There's a lot of emphasis on that, so it could be implying that maybe our characters are not on Earth, or they are on Earth. I mean, there is a possibility they could not be on Earth. I mean, maybe they were shipped off through space or something as a kid, and, maybe they're there on the planet, and they're, on a farm. I mean, potential possibility, just throwing it on out there. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.